Hi class, this is Dr. M, and I have a quick video to get you up to speed on some basic Excel functions. So today you are seeing the data that I obtained from the survey that I gave you all prior to the beginning of the semester. And what you'll see here is along the top of the screen in the top row we have the questions. So the first question was, how many statistics classes have you had previously? Then you have comfort level, anxiety level, proficiency with Excel. Have you ever used R before? Do you have experience with programming? So that's what we're dealing with here. We have the questions on the top row, and then each person's answers are in the rows that follow. So for example, this first row here, the person answered 2 for the question 1, 4 for question 2, 2, 2, 3, and 1. So each row represents an individual's responses. All right, so the first thing I want to show you how to do is just to simply add a column. So I'm going to highlight the first column here, which is the question for how many statistics classes have you had previously. And I'm going to right click on that and I'll click Insert, and you'll see that another column has appeared to the left. So I'm going to call this Recoded 1 because what I want to do is recode this question 1. So you might remember from our class last night that I mentioned that for this question the number 2 actually represented 1 class, the number 4 represents 3 or more classes, and so forth. So in order to get a more accurate understanding of how many classes people have had previously, I'm going to go in and type a number 1 for my recoded 1 for the person 1. Instead of 2, it's 1. Instead of 4, it's 3. Instead of 2, it's 1. Instead of 2, it's 1. Instead of 4, it's 3. 2 is 1. 3 is 2. 2 is 1, 1 is 0, 3 is 2, and 2 is 1. All right, and again, that was just because Qualtrics coded my 1 class as a number 2, and so forth. And so this will give me a more accurate understanding of the number of classes people have taken. So now that I've done that, let's get the average number of classes that students have had previously in this class regarding statistics. So in order to do that, I need to enter a formula into a cell and have Excel calculate the average in that cell. So I'm going to click on this cell here. This cell is A, column A, row 16, and I'm going to type the equal sign, and that equal sign indicates that I'm about to type a formula. And we can simply type average and parentheses, and then I highlight the numbers that I want Excel to use to calculate my average. So I'm grabbing here all of these numbers. Once I have them all, I can hit enter, and I see that my average here is 1.38. So the average number of statistics classes y'all have had previously is 1.38. Now I can do the same thing for the standard deviation, and the code for that is STDEV. And so again, I type STDEV, and then I do open parentheses. I grab all of the numbers that I want to include in my standard deviation, and I hit enter. So we can see here that our standard deviation is 0.87. So now that I have the average and the standard deviation for this first column, if I wanted to, I could even drag across and get the average and standard deviation for all of the other columns. So let's see what happens if I do that. You can see I have my cell A16 highlighted here. If I grab that little dot on the lower right corner and I drag across, you can see that it gives me the average for each of these columns, and I can check the formula by clicking in that cell, and I can see here that it's giving me average of F2 through F14. And so if I double click inside the cell, it shows me that all of those are highlighted blue, and so that gives me some confidence that it has calculated it correctly for column F. I can do the same with my standard deviation. I can just drag across. Now, one thing to notice is that when you do get these numbers, in this case, they look fairly good, right? You have 2 decimal places, and I'm always going to recommend that you use 2 decimal places when you're doing statistics. But what if it looked really bad? What if it was like 17 decimal places or something? Well, that's a pretty easy fix. You can click on the cell and do a right click and do Format Cells and click on Number. So if it wasn't already checked, you could click Number, and then you can adjust the number of decimal places that you want to see. All right, so now I'll show you another function, and to do so I'm going to add another column. So let me go and insert another column, and I'm going to call this column ID. You know, I mentioned that each of these rows constitutes an individual's responses. So if I wanted to add an ID, I could say this is person 1, this is person 2, this is person 3, and so on. But I can show you a shortcut so that I don't have to type all of those numbers. If I highlight the first 3, I can simply drag down, and Excel will fill in the rest. So you can see there are 13 in total, the 13 students in this class, and by simply just typing the first couple, Excel, and then dragging down, Excel was able to autofill the rest of those numbers for me. Another common thing that you might have to do in Excel is sort. So say that I wanted to sort people by the number of classes that they've had previously in statistics. So I'm going to sort them by this recoded column that I have here. So what I will do is highlight the data that I want to be sorted. So I'm going to highlight those first 13 rows. This is important because I don't want it to sort the cells that I have with my averages in them. I just want them to sort the first 13 individuals, so the first 14 rows overall. So I highlighted that, and then I'm going to go into Data and Sort, and I will click on Sort By. And you can see here that it's giving me a nice, neat thing, so I can see all of the cell names right here. But if it didn't, then I might go over here and check my data has headers. So that just tells you that the first row is a header and that you want to sort by that. So I would sort by recoded 1. On values, smallest to largest, you can change that if you want, and then click OK. So you can see here that it has now sorted and is in a different order than it was previously, but the numbers here are obviously still the same. The final thing I'll mention for this video is that there is a data analysis tool pack that is an add-on to Microsoft Excel. And I already have it here on my computer, and you can see it up here in the upper right. So I can click on data analysis, and there's lots of functions in here, and we'll do some of these this semester. But for now, just know that that exists, and I will include a link that explains how to install that data analysis or activate that data analysis tool pack for your Microsoft Excel for this course. All right, that's it. Please reach out if you have any questions, and I'll look forward to seeing you in our next class.